Hello chess lovers, let's have a look at a game played by Gata, Kamsky and Wesley. So the game was played in 2015 at USA Championship. Kamsky is playing with the white pieces and he started with d4, knight f6, knight f3, e6, g3, and here comes an interesting move by Wesley, so b5. Maybe this move looks strange, but the idea of b5 is to prevent c4. Bishop g5, c5, bishop g2, bishop b7, c3, c takes d4, c takes d4, bishop e7, castling, h6, bishop f6, bishop f6. We see that black gained a bishop pair. Let's see if it can be turned into an advantage. However, let's not forget that this pawn on b5 is weakened. e3, castling, knight c3, b4, knight e2. Now we will see that white knight is starting a long journey. Queen b6, knight f4, rook c8. An interesting move. A more natural looking move is knight c6. But here white has a strong response d5 and black is facing a lot of problems. Rook c8, knight h5. Look at this knight coming from c3 up to h5. Bishop e7, knight e5. Already white is trying to gain an initiative with his dominating knights. Bishop g2, queen g4, threatening checkmate on g7, bishop g5, and king takes g2. Instead of king takes g2, there are a lot of interesting variations starting with f4. Black has a strong response f5, and here comes a variation starting with a queen sacrifice, f takes g5, f takes g4, and white can play, for example, rook f7 with drawing chances. White can easily draw the game, but instead of f takes g4, black has a strong response. Bishop f1, queen f4. If, for example, rook f1, then f takes g4, rook f7, rook c1 check. This is winning for black. King f2, rook f1 check, king f1, queen b5 check, king g2, queen takes e5, and black is a rook up. Queen f4, and again this is good for black. Queen d8, g takes h6, bishop e2, h takes g7, knight c6. These variations are very complex, long, and it's very difficult to calculate in front of a chessboard. That's why Gata Kamsky made a right decision that he didn't went for this variation, but even in this case this is good for black. So king g2 is a precise move. Here comes queen b7 check, taking control over the long diagonal. King g1, d6, kicking away this strong knight on e5, knight d3. Another possible line is h4, f5, queen f3, queen f3, knight f3, but probably Kamsky didn't want to exchange the queens. Knight d3, knight d7, h4, bishop f6, rook fc1, a5, and a bad move by Gata Kamsky, knight df4. It turns out that soon the knight on h5 gets into a trouble. A better move was in this position e4, knight df4, and let's see how Wesley so used that bad move. Queen e4, an accurate move, after which it turns out that knight on f4 is pinned. queen e2. Here comes another strong move, bishop e7, giving no chance to exchange this trapped knight on h5. Queen b5 attacking the knight on d7, knight f8, queen d3 trying to exchange the queens, but that would have been great for white. Queen b7, knight g2. With this move, knight g2, white is opening up space on f4 for his knight on h5. So Wesley So gave no chance in this position by playing e5, taking under the control this f4 square. And again it turns out that white has a lot of problems with his h5 knight. g4, the only way to save that knight on h5, because the threat was g6. g4, knight g6, queen f5, and bishop takes h4. Because of the weakness of the h5 knight, white was urged to weaken his king side and lose a pawn. Knight e1, rook e8, rook d1. We see that already black has a great advantage, and let's see how Wesley So realized his advantage. Let's just go quickly through the game, because already this is winning for black. Knight e3, bishop takes, knight h4, rook d1, rook takes d1, queen takes, king h7, b3, a takes, g6, knight g3, h5, queen d5, queen f6 check, king e2, h takes g4, king d3, knight g2, queen b7, king g7, queen b5. A little tactics by Wesley So, knight takes e3. Well, if you take, there is a queen f3 check, knight e2, knight f1, king c4, queen d6, queen b4, knight d2 check, king c3, knight b1 check, king c4, and queen a6, and white is losing its knight on e2. That's why white resigned. A great game by Wesley So, I think, how he realized the weakness of h5 knight. Let's go back to move 22, sorry, where Gata Kamsky played knight df4, and he started to have problems with his knight on h5. This accurate response by Wesley So causing a lot of problems. And also I think that it's very instructive and interesting, this b5 move in the third move, preventing this c4 move. Your comments please, what do you think about this game, and thanks for watching. Good luck.